Have you ever become so useful at work that they could not afford to promote you? You solve the emergencies. You remember the details. You help everyone meet their deadlines. When a process breaks, people say, ask them. They'll know. At first, being needed feels like security. Then a better position opens. You apply, expecting your contribution to speak for itself. Your manager praises you, calls you indispensable, and gives the opportunity to someone else. The explanation sounds almost like a compliment. We just don't know how the team would function without you where you are. That is the moment you discover a painful difference. Being useful can protect your current role. It does not automatically create your next one. How do hardworking people become essential to the work but invisible to power? I'm Sarah, and this is Wise Mind Stories. In the 48 Laws of Power, 4 laws circle around leverage. Law 7 is about using the work of others. Law 11 is about creating dependence. Law 13 tells us to appeal to self-interest rather than gratitude. And Law 31 is about controlling the available options. Read without an ethical filter. These laws can encourage exploitation, but there is another way to understand them. Power grows when you stop selling effort and begin owning outcomes. When your value is visible, transferable, and connected to something other people care about. By the end of this episode, you will know why constant helpfulness can weaken your career, how to become difficult to replace without becoming trapped, and how to ask for more in a language decision-makers actually hear. Let's begin with Nora. Nora Bennett worked at Lattice, an online education company that launched new professional courses every month. Her title was Operations Coordinator. Her real job was preventing chaos. If an instructor delivered material late, Nora rebuilt the schedule. If the design team used the wrong files, Nora found the correct version. If customer support did not know what had been promised, Nora searched through old messages and wrote the answer. She kept backup spreadsheets, emergency checklists, and a private document called Things That Will Break If No One Notices. People loved working with her. They sent messages that said, "You saved us again." Her manager called her the backbone of the team. Nora believed that all this gratitude was accumulating like money in an account. When the right opportunity arrived, the company would remember every rescue and repay her. After 2 years, Lattice created a new position, Director of Launch Operations. It was almost exactly the job Nora was already doing, except with authority, a larger salary, and a team. Nora applied. Her manager told her she was the strongest internal candidate. The interviews went well. Colleagues sent private messages saying the role was obviously hers. Then the company gave it to a project manager named Colin. Colin was capable, but he had been at Lattice for only 8 months. He did not know the launch process as well as Nora. In fact, Nora had helped him recover 2 of his projects. When Nora asked why she had not been selected, her manager sighed. "You are incredibly valuable," he said. "But moving you right now would leave a major gap. Colin has more experience leading at a strategic level. We need you to help him understand the operation." Nora heard the contradiction immediately. She was valuable enough to train the director, not valuable enough to become the director. For the next month, anger followed her everywhere. Every request felt insulting. Every emergency proved that the company knew exactly how much she did. She began collecting old messages of praise, preparing to confront her manager with evidence that people appreciated her. Then she met with Imani, a former executive who had become her mentor through a professional network. Nora described the situation and showed her the messages. Imani read them carefully. "These prove that people like your help," she said. "Which one proves that the company loses money if it does not expand your authority?" Nora stared at her. "Isn't the value obvious?" Your effort is obvious, Imani said. Your leverage is not. That distinction changed the way Nora saw her job. She had spent 2 years doing work that disappeared as soon as it succeeded. A late file arrived. Nora fixed it. The launch happened on time. No one saw the delay. A client became angry. Nora solved it privately. The relationship continued. No one saw the risk. She had become excellent at removing evidence of her own contribution. Then, because she completed so much work herself, other people appeared more capable than they were. Managers presented clean outcomes built on Nora's invisible repairs. This is the darker side of Law 7. Other people can use your labor when you do not define its ownership. But Law 7 also points toward a legitimate form of leadership. No serious leader does everything alone. Leaders coordinate specialists, combine contributions, and accept responsibility for the result. The ethical line is credit. Exploitation hides who created the value. Leadership makes contributions visible while owning the final outcome. Nora had believed that doing everything herself proved leadership. In reality, it proved that the organization could keep her in an overloaded role and receive management-level value at a coordinator's price. Hard work is not leverage when someone else controls the story of what it produced. Imani gave Nora an assignment. For 30 days, she was not allowed to record how many tasks she completed. She had to record 4 other things. Which problems repeated? What did each problem cost? Who depended on her private knowledge? What system could prevent the problem without requiring her personal rescue? Nora began studying her own work like a business. She discovered that course launches were delayed by the same 5 failures: unclear ownership, late instructor materials, version confusion, missing legal approval, and promises made by sales without operational review. She calculated that the team spent hundreds of hours each quarter correcting those failures. Refunds and emergency contractor costs made the damage even larger. Then Nora did something that initially felt dangerous. She began teaching other people what she knew. Wouldn't that make her replaceable? That fear keeps many capable people trapped. They hoard instructions, remain the only person with passwords, and allow every decision to pass through them. They create dependence, but it is the wrong kind. The company depends on their presence, so the company cannot move them. Healthy leverage does not come from being the only person who can perform a task. It comes from being the person who can design a system, improve it, and apply the thinking somewhere larger. Nora created a launch operating system. Each project had a single owner, visible deadlines, approval gates, and an early warning score. She trained 2 coordinators to handle routine exceptions. She required sales promises to be reviewed before contracts were signed. Within 3 months, emergency work fell sharply. For the first time, Nora was not the center of every rescue. She was the architect of fewer emergencies. That is a more sustainable interpretation of Law 11. Do not make people dependent on your exhaustion. Make valuable outcomes dependent on a capability you can keep expanding. A great teacher is not valuable because students can never act without them. A great teacher is valuable because they can repeatedly create understanding. A strong operator is not valuable because no one else knows the checklist. They are valuable because they can see systems that others cannot yet see. If your value disappears when you share information, you did not own a capability. You owned a secret. Nora now had evidence. But Imani warned her not to return to management, asking for recognition. Gratitude is emotionally satisfying, she said. Self-interest moves budgets. That is Law 13. When people ask for a raise or promotion, they often present a moral case. I worked hard. I have been loyal. I deserve this. Those statements may be true, but the person making the decision is also thinking about risk, money, timing, and what their own manager will approve. Nora needed to translate her growth into the company's interest. She prepared a short proposal. The first page did not list her sacrifices. It showed the reduction in launch delays, contractor costs, and refunds. The second showed how the system could be expanded across 2 additional departments. The third explained why Nora needed formal authority to make that expansion work. Then she used Law 31, control the options. She did not ask, "Will you please reconsider me for leadership?" She offered 2 paths. Option 1. Promote her into a systems role. Give her responsibility for launch operations across departments, and hire a coordinator for routine work. Option 2. Keep her current title and scope, in which case Colin would fully own director-level decisions and Nora would stop performing responsibilities outside her role. Both options were legitimate. Only one allowed the company to keep receiving expanded value from her. This is not manipulation. It is structured choice. When you present one desperate request, the other person controls whether anything changes. When you present 2 workable paths with clear consequences, the conversation moves from permission to decision. Nora's manager did not immediately agree. He said budgets were tight. He said the timing was complicated. He praised her again. This time, Nora did not accept praise as payment. She asked which option he preferred and when a decision would be made. 2 weeks later, Lattice created a systems lead role for her, with a salary increase and authority across 3 teams. The outcome was not a reward for finally working hard enough. Nora had already been working hard enough. The outcome changed when she made the cost, ownership, and choices visible. There is an important warning here. Sometimes a company understands your value perfectly and still chooses not to reward it. No framework can negotiate generosity into an organization committed to extraction. That is why Nora also spoke with other companies. She did not use an imaginary offer as a threat. She built real alternatives. Options create the calm that pleading tries to imitate. If Lattice had refused both paths, Nora was prepared to leave. What does this mean for you? Use a 4-part tool called MOVE. Measure the outcome. Stop describing only what you do. Track what changes because you do it. Did revenue increase? Did risk fall? Did time improve? Did customers stay? Did a process become repeatable? Effort earns sympathy. Outcomes support decisions. O. Own a system. Move from completing isolated tasks to creating a repeatable capability. Document it, name it, improve it. Teach routine parts to others. Your goal is not to become irreplaceable in yesterday's work. It is to become credible for tomorrow's larger problem. V. Voice their self-interest. When asking for resources, authority, or compensation, explain how the change helps the decision-maker achieve something they already need. Do not abandon fairness. Translate fairness into operational value. E. Expand the options. Build skills, relationships, savings, and outside opportunities before the negotiation becomes desperate. Then present clear choices instead of an emotional demand with no alternative. The strongest boundary is one you can survive enforcing. Now ask yourself, where are you being praised for work that remains invisible in every formal decision? Which emergency keeps proving your usefulness while preventing your growth? Are people dependent on your capability or merely on your willingness to rescue them? And if gratitude disappeared tomorrow, could you still demonstrate the value you create? Being needed is not the same as having power. Sometimes people need you exactly where you are, because your sacrifice makes their system affordable. The goal is not to stop helping. It is to make sure your help creates ownership, evidence, and movement, not a more comfortable cage. This pattern exists far beyond promotions. A freelancer answers every message immediately, adds unpaid revisions, and solves problems outside the agreement. Clients call them wonderful, then resist a higher fee because all that extra value has been presented as normal access. One sibling organizes every family appointment, remembers every birthday, and repairs every argument. Because the work is emotional and preventative, relatives notice only when it stops. The person becomes essential, but their time is treated as infinitely available. A small business owner personally approves every order because no one else can meet their standards. Customers depend on them, employees wait for them, and the business appears successful. But the owner cannot take a week away. They have created control without freedom. In each case, the person has confused being central with being powerful. If everything collapses when you step away, you may control the work, but the work also controls you. The transition begins by allowing small consequences to become visible. Do not secretly correct every mistake before the responsible person sees it. Do not offer an unlimited service under a limited price. Do not accept ownership without authority and then hope someone notices the imbalance. Visibility can feel uncomfortable because it means other people may briefly experience inconvenience. But if your value can be recognized only while you remain silent, exhausted, and permanently available, the arrangement depends on your disappearance as a person. Healthy value creates capacity on both sides. It helps other people succeed while giving you room to grow, rest, negotiate, and eventually choose a larger problem. In the next episode, we will look at why chasing every opportunity often makes opportunities move farther away. How do you stop competing on someone else's field? Why does concentrated effort create more power than constant availability? And when is one bold move worth more than a year of cautious requests? Episode 5 is called Stop Chasing and Control the Field.